Now, I've got some questions here, and this has to do with the LLC that was mentioned to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, there's some conflicts that kind of concern me when I try and verify this information.
Most investors would be sweating right now. This is the kind of call newer guys hang up on.
I don't even know which LLC it is. I have over 45 LLCs, so it could be a newer one, it could be an older one. Which one is it? For example, you will never see my name, Pace Morby, on a single document. You will never see it. And
I'm going to show you exactly how Pace diffused it, one objection at a time. My name's Andrew Caranto, and this is the second one of these I'm doing. I take real creative finance calls apart beat by beat and pull the hidden moves out into the open so you get sharper on your own calls. Quick version of who I am. If you're new here, I came up on the acquisition side of a creative finance team. I built the systems we use to buy with the Morby method, and I was the guy actually on the phone running those first conversations with agents and sellers. I studied psychology formally, and my day job's a healthcare worker, so I am reading people and working my delivery all day long. I just practice this stuff in a different room. Last time, we broke down a seller call going from a flat no to a yes. This one's different. This one's about the scary call. The seller who comes in suspicious, does research, throws up red flags, and grills you, and how you stay in the fight instead of folding. I went with the best again. If you do creative finance, you know Pace Morby. Let's break down why. Here's what makes this call interesting right out of the gate. Normally, the investor is the one doing recon. He looks up the property, the seller gets a read before he dials. We talked about that on the last video. This time it got flipped. The seller did recon on the investor. He went looking, found a stack of LLCs all hidden behind privacy protection, and he couldn't get information on any of them. So before a single word was said, this guy had already formed an opinion, and it was suspicious and negative. Hold on to that because it changes everything. When a seller has preloaded objections like this, you're not walking into a conversation. You're walking into a defense he's already built. And Pace has to take that wall down piece by piece before any deal talk even matters. Now, before the call even plays, Pace does something in his own breakdown that I want you to see first. He restates the seller's suspicion out loud. Let's go ahead and take a look.
the issue it caused was, well, I don't know who you are, and I looked up your LLCs and you're all like hidden, and now that's making me worry, okay?
That is labeling, and it's one of the most useful tools you've got. A label is just you restating what's actually going on in the other person's head. Not what they said, what they're feeling. You put words to it out loud before they do, and here's why it's so powerful with a suspicious seller. The fear he hasn't said yet is the one that's running the whole call. It's sitting there in the background making him guarded. The second you name it, two things happen. One, he feels understood because you clearly get it. And two, it loses some of its grip because now it's out in the open instead of festering. You're not arguing with the suspicion, you're beating him to it, and that's the move you'll see Pace run over and over in this call. Now into the call itself. Listen to Pace's open, higher pitch, warm, friendly, and then listen to the seller.
Don, my name is Pace. How you doing?
I'm doing fairly good.
Good, me too. I'm calling about the property that Tim tried to buy from you on seller finance and has failed to perform.
Correct.
I am,
Picture the frowny face on the other side of that phone. When most people hear a guy who's a little quiet, what's actually happening is that the part where he says, doing fairly good, the way he says correct in like a clipped formal way, that's a guy with a whole lot he wants to say and zero trust to say it with yet. You can hear the skepticism right in the first 10 seconds. There is so much more I have to get off my chest kind of vibe sitting right under it. And Pace hears it too. He's not fooled by the polite words. He's reading the tone underneath them, and that's where the real information is on a call like this. Now, watch what Pace does next. He comes right out and starts telling the seller who he is and why he's even calling on this deal.
I am thinking about coming in and saving him from foreclosure, then I thought, well, if Tim hasn't upheld his agreements with you, then why would Tim uphold my agreements with me? And I thought, why don't I just call Don and see if I can save Don some time, energy, and effort and just buy the note from Don?
This was brought up, and the point is valid as far as why would you think he would follow through with you?
Right, that's what I'm worried about. So my thought is, why don't I just buy the note from Don directly?
The bottom line is obvious.
This tactic, actually, it's really subtle and it's really smart. He's shaping how everything after this gets received. So here's the frame he's setting. It sounds like this seller got done wrong by somebody early in the process, which was revealed as Tim, the buyer originally. And Pace is basically saying, I saw that. I wasn't okay with it. So we're sidestepping that person. You and me are going to go do this the honest way. Think about what that does. It takes the seller's suspicion and it points it somewhere else, not at Pace, at the guy who actually earned it. And it puts Pace and the seller on the same side, both looking to get a clean, honest deal done. And the seller bites. He comes back and basically agrees, yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly why I'd worry this person wouldn't keep their word, because they didn't keep it with me. That's your first happy face of the call, first crack in the wall, and it didn't come from Pace proving anything. It came from Pace lining up next to him. Coming into the next major moment of this call, the seller actually tips his hand on where his trust actually sits now. The subtext is, I've been working with the title company. They're the professionals here. I trust them. You, I don't trust yet. In fact, he goes so far as, if the title company tells me you're safe, then I'll believe you're safe.
And whether or not that would cause complications to the title company. So my first words on this and thoughts are this has to go through the title company.
No problem.
If you can somehow convince them and then have them contact me saying this is all well and good and they are okay with this, then the money would obviously have to be paid in order for the process to go through.
Yes, sir. Totally understand. We do this frequently, and I'm...
Listen to how this guy talks, and you'll learn a ton about him. He definitely sounds older. He's very formal, careful, almost like he's reading his lines off a legal document. I don't know this man, but I'm getting strong, conservative, follow the rules, respect the process vibes. And that tells you why he leans on the title company so hard. It's the known path. It's the familiar, established thing guiding him down a road that feels safe. Now, here's what a lot of investors would do. They'd hear, I only trust the title company, as an obstacle, something to get around. Pace does the opposite. He agrees with it. He goes, glad to hear it. We actually prefer it that way. That's another alignment. It says, hey, we're both on the same side of following a real process here. And it quietly shuts off the alarm bell in the seller's head that says, this investor is just trying to skirt around something that's safe and known. Now, watch what happens after. That objection never comes back up again. Not once. That's what handling it right looks like. It doesn't return. And because of that, right after, the seller moves right into his next real objection, the hidden LLCs, the ones he couldn't dig up anything on, and Pace, invited to explain himself, brings out his origin story and his experience.
Grateful to hear that you want us to go through a title company because we prefer that.
Now, I've got some questions here, and this has to do with the LLC that was mentioned to me.
Yes, sir.
And what can you tell me as far as this LLC and where this originated, how long it's been in operation, and so forth? I used to have my own LLC as an investor here in Lake Havasu when I built and sold spec homes.
Okay.
So I need some background from you on who you are, where you're from, and how this came about.
Okay, so my name is Pace Morby. I own $500 million in real estate, 2,132 rentals in 15 different states. I've been an investor for quite a while. I started in doing foreclosures and helping people out of foreclosures, and I scaled a large team over the last 11 years to get in the position I'm currently in.
Where did this start, Morby?
Where it started is where I was just explaining to you where it started, is my long history. As you can imagine, my long history as being a real estate investor, people call me when they're in trouble.
I looked up this
I don't even know which LLC it is. I have over 45 LLCs.
So notice how he tells it. He doesn't just list their credentials, he lines his whole story up directly with the seller's pain. This is the exact same move he pulled in the Marvin call in the last video. He talks about the kind of work he does, memory care, adult foster homes, sometimes low-income housing, housing that helps people, and it's no accident. The nature of his work is pointed right at solving the thing the seller cares about. That's the principle, and I want you to actually take this one into your own calls. You align with people by being their solution, not by being impressive, by being the answer to their problem. Your story, your experience, your reason for doing this, point all of it at their pain. That's how ethos actually earns trust instead of just filling air. Here's a spot that threw me on my first listen. Pace cuts in, gets a bit brash, sounds almost irritated and impatient with the guy.
I don't even know which LLC it is. I have over 45 LLCs, so it could be a newer one, it could be an older one. Which one is it?
The one that was mentioned to me was Saguaro Cactus Holdings.
Yep. So our Cactus Holdings, I believe, is 6 or 7 years old, and it holds, I think, 30 other LLCs, and those LLCs probably own somewhere around 300 or 400 rentals.
Okay, what I find online was this formerly was in Florida. Is that correct?
That is incorrect. Saguaro Cactus Holdings is in Arizona, and it is held by a Wyoming LLC, which with anonymity, and then that's held by a trust.
Okay, well, there's some conflicts that kind of concern me when I try and verify this information.
Okay.
When I see the articles of organization pertaining to Cactus Holdings, it brings up an entity name of PJM Acquisitions LLC as a domestic LLC in Arizona with a statutory agent name, Registered Agents Incorporated.
Yes, sir.
Out of Oro Valley. And this just took effect.
You're talking about
August 15th.
You're talking about probably
Organizer.
PJ Morby or PJM Acquisitions is probably the one you're referencing right now.
PJM is the one that I brought up secondary
Yep.
to Saguaro Cactus Holdings.
Okay, so Saguaro Cactus Holdings is probably. I'll pull it up. Let's go online. I'll pull it up for you. I don't own one LLC and I don't own one business. We own hundreds of rentals and we don't put all of those in one LLC. So let me pull this up right now and I'll tell you the chain of command where it goes. I have a family office. Don, do you know what a family office is?
Not necessarily in your aspect as to what you're asking about.
So a family office is a group of people that manage wealth for people like myself. So I have a full-time office of people, 15 people at a company called Do Wealth that manage all of my LLCs, manage all of my bank accounts. And the smart thing to do would maybe put you on the phone with Top Secret, who manages all of my money and my assets. He is
Actually, over the phone is not going to verify.
The first time through, I figured he was just kind of tired of getting grilled over and over. And that's fair enough. I think most people would. But going back through it and taking notes again, I caught something Pace actually mentioned in his own breakdown. He just doesn't say exactly where it happens. He talks about matching the energy of the call. He says when you're dealing with a certain kind of crotchety older guy who thinks he's a little better than everyone else, you sometimes have to match that energy. He said he went maybe 10% over just to be sure he was matching it. But here's the part I think goes deeper than just matching. Look at where this happens. By now, Pace has calmly dismantled every single concern the guy's thrown at him and aligned with him on every one. And the seller isn't fighting back. He's not giving counter evidence. He's just accepting each point and moving to the next. Which tells me that Pace has quietly banked a bunch of rapport with this guy. So this is actually the perfect place to push back a little and sound a touch irritated because think about what that does to the seller. He doesn't want to lose his sale. He wants Pace to be a great qualified buyer he can work with. So when Pace comes off a little annoyed at the constant grilling, it starts to stew up a new fear in the seller's head. Not really the one where, is this guy safe? Now it's more about, am I about to push my buyer away? The whole dynamic flips from skeptical to friendly, from him vetting Pace to him not wanting to lose Pace. This is a powerful principle that's based mostly on the fear of loss. And there have been studies that looked at the psychology around this, showing that the pain of a loss is felt twice as much as an equivalent gain. And this is definitely something worth taking note of for both ways. One, in yourself, but then two, in your own seller calls. On to the next section. Don brings his suspicion right out into the open. He's pretty much saying that phone calls are risky, like anyone could be anyone over the phone. Pace counters beautifully and offers to have his contact from the family office drive over and meet the guy in person.
Actually, over the phone is not going to verify and give me any,
Well, I can have him drive. I can have him drive. See if you need him to.
I think the first thing and the most important in this manner, I need to touch base with the title company. And if you are agreeable to pay them first to stop this foreclosure, that is the effective and most immediate way to conclude this. When you speak about buying a note, that is kind of a vague, okay, well, I do have the promissory note signed by Tim, but I am not familiar with the process in selling that note, and that's why I've contacted the buying company to give me an overview as to how common this is and so forth. You indicate that it happens all the time. The realtor that I use says he has heard of it, but I need, and because this is under the jurisdiction, shall we say, or the oversight of the title company, who managed the contract in the first place, they are the people that I need to go through.
No problem.
Understand that.
Of course. I not only do I understand it, I appreciate that you want to go that route, because that's the route I would guide you. Do you have a contact information and maybe a person that I could call at the title company and to build a relationship with them?
We do.
I'm ready whenever you are.
More top secret names.
Got it. Okay.
And so I've put in a call to her and asked for her in the same matter so that we are all on the same page, agreeing to the same terms.
Perfect. So Kelly on my team, I'm going to have her reach out to Shannon as well, so we can give Shannon all of our verification of who we are, the fact that we have money sitting in the bank account, we have proof of that money, and build a relationship with her and start having a conversation and hopefully save you some time.
Yeah, that would be beautiful, and I wholeheartedly support that plan.
Perfect.
I did, and I don't know whether it was Kelly, but the girl that I spoke to earlier said they had already contacted Pioneer Title, and that's part of the reason I called them to verify that fact. And she gave me a buy-off amount, and I kind of go, okay, that's probably consistent. And she indicated to me that buy-off total was good until November 20th. So that gives me reason to believe that this has been researched and so forth. But based on what I found when I started doing the research online, as far as the moving forward ventures and the cigar cactus holdings, there are some flags. And for that reason, we're talking, and you know what I know at this point, and probably more.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Well,
So after all that, Don is still talking, and he still won't actually admit that the point's been handled. He just kind of goes, okay, well, let's skip that part, and if you can get in touch with the title company and convince them, then we'll move forward. I want you to really sit on that part, because this trips up so many people. The whole way through this call, the seller never really once says, okay, that's good, I'm satisfied. He never gives you a good, clean yes. He just handles his discomfort by moving on to the next objection. And a ton of investors would hang up this call feeling like they lost. In the last video, I covered this too, and it's just as true here. The point of the call is not to close. The point is to move the negotiation forward. And if you do close, fantastic. But either way, Pace didn't need the seller to say those words. He needed the negotiation to move forward. And the seller did keep going. Every objection the guy moves past instead of dying on is the yes. It just doesn't sound like one. Here's the last big thing, and it's a masterclass. Pace handling an objection before it ever comes up.
in closing, let me tell you, people like myself that own as many assets as I own, my job is to hire people to protect my name. So for example, you will never see my name, Pace Morby, on a single document. You will never see. And you understand why I have registered agents out of Oro Valley and all that stuff.
Likewise,
By this point, the seller's warmed up. He's shown some real willingness to move forward as long as he can get the buy-in from the title company. He's been oversharing, explaining himself, kind of saying every thought in his head to save face. But the outcome is clear. He trusts Pace now, and he's leaning in. Pace already knows exactly what tripped this guy up in the first place. The stack of hidden entities, the name he couldn't find. So here's the move. Right now, inside the same conversation that just built all this rapport, Pace tells him ahead of time how his deals are structured, that the seller won't see Pace's name on the paperwork, and here's why. He gets in front of it. A lot of people would skip this part. They'd figure, well, we'll just handle it with the title company later. The next step's the title company. And they're not wrong. The deal can still move forward without this, but this little 30-second move quietly stacks the odds way up, because the moment that the seller sees paperwork without Pace's name on it, he's already been told. It's expected. It's normal. Instead of a new red flag reigniting all that suspicion, it's a thing he already knew about. Pace primed him against his own future distrust. And that is the difference between a deal that survives the paperwork and one that blows up at the finish line over something you could have said in probably 1 or 2 sentences. Now, right after that, the seller cuts in with the clearest sign of where this call landed.
had the DJ Gray Investments LLC when I was building and selling houses. I understand.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that.
Okay, cool.
I had a Nevada corporation before I moved to Arizona.
Arson.
Kudos, understood.
Love it. Okay, great. Well, we'll make sure that Shannon can verify all the ownership of the trust and the LLCs and all that kind of stuff before we do the transaction. And we'll reach out to her and make sure we start the ball rolling.
Yeah, because this deed or this note is actually entitled to my trust.
Okay, great.
So it's all part of a package deal, and that's the way the contract was written and signed.
Love it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you,
All right,
John.
I appreciate the feedback. You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So here's what we just saw. He starts relating. He talks about his own ventures, his own experience with LLCs back in the day, and he says he gets it. He understands what Pace is doing. If you rewind 15 minutes, this is the same guy who came in with basically a whole folder full of suspicion, and then that whole, the flat, careful, correct. Now he's trading LLC stories like they're on the same team. That's the whole arc. That's what diffusing looks like when it's done right. Nobody got argued into anything. The wall just came down, one aligned move at a time. Okay, so let's pull it all together and recap the call. It's basically all about one core idea, a suspicious seller, and how you take that suspicion apart without ever fighting them. So here's what to actually steal. The first one, objections are not logic problems, they're trust problems. When a seller pushes back, he's not really asking about your LLC, he's asking underneath, is it safe to trust you? So don't argue that fact, diffuse the fear that's underneath it. 2, get on the same side of the table. Pace never sat across from this guy, he kept lining up next to him. Same side against the person who did him wrong. Same side on following a real, safe process. You align, you don't oppose. Third one, be the solution. Your story and your experiences should point straight at the seller's pain, not at how impressive you are. Ethos earns trust when it maps to what they care about. 4, you will not always hear the yes. Watch for the seller moving to his next objection instead of dying on the last one. That essentially is the yes. Your job is to keep the negotiation moving, not to collect confirmation. Number 5, handle the objection before it's asked. If you already know what's going to spook them, say it first, inside the rapport and on your terms. 30 seconds up front beats a blown deal at the closing table. In the overall feel, same as last time, Pace stayed in control the whole way, but watch the one twist here. He wasn't afraid to push back and match a little heat once he'd earned the rapport to spend. Calm is the baseline. Knowing when to press is the level up. Calls like this don't blow up because you said the wrong words. They blow up because you dropped one thread. Go back and count what Pace had to hold in his head. The guy got burned by somebody earlier. He only trusts the title company. He wants a real person to drive out and meet him. And he's spooked by the whole entity structure. That's 4 separate promises, and every one has to survive to the next call, or his trust snaps right back to 0. And notice something about those objections. Who are you? I can't find your LLCs. Prove you're real. Walk me through the title company. That's not a random thing. That's every creative finance seller who's nervous because the structure is unfamiliar to them. A generic CRM has no idea those are coming. That's exactly why I built Velocity Deal Engine. It's a deal engine from the Morby method and creative finance, and not a generic sales CRM with the stage name swapped out. So before you ever dial, Atlas is wired into that specific deal, and it helps you to rehearse the exact objections a seller like Dawn is going to throw and how you're going to answer them. You've already played the call once before you hit the button, and the second you hung up, every thread lands on the deal. The objection, the fear underneath it, what you promised, and the next step with the date on it. Next conversation, you pick up exactly where the trust left off, and if you've got a partner or a team, they see the whole path instead of it dying in your head. Even a notebook beats trusting your brain. But once you've got more than a couple live creative deals going, the notebook breaks too. That's what Velocity is built to solve. So here's what to do. Click the link in the description and start your free trial of Velocity Deal Engine. Load in your next few deals before your next seller call, and in one sitting, you'll have every objection, every promise, and every follow-up laid out on the deal, so your next call feels like a replay instead of a panic. And subscribe while you're here. I break down a different creative finance call every week, pulling these hidden moves out into the open. Last week was a flat no turning into a yes. This week was diffusing a suspicious seller. Next one, we'll go somewhere new, and I'll catch you there.